Hello and welcome back to Digital Assets Daily. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in your corner of the world. DCEP wallet registration started by China Construction Bank. According to 8BTC, major Chinese bank CCB has opened registration for wallets for DCEP, which is the digital centralized analog of yuan, via its mobile app. Now tell me things aren't moving faster now. I want to thank ECK for tagging me in that article. I think that is a huge leap forward and towards the massive global adoption. So just remember, pioneers, that you are early, but this is about to seriously blast off like we've never seen before. Even if you were here in 2017, the new one is going to melt that beyond reality, as that was a speculative bull run, and now we're about to launch into something we haven't seen before in cryptocurrencies for a utility bull run, and that's going to be very exciting. The next article, records reveal that Ripple CEO met with senior Trump administration official in 2018, and was XRP on the agenda? The answer would be absolutely, most definitely, yes, because what do we have? Executive Order 13772, and then Ripple is actually discussed, directly stated by name. In the newly discovered White House records show the head of Ripple met with a senior Trump administration official twice in 2018, and documents from the U.S. Office of Management and Budget show Ripple's Brad Garlinghouse met with the special assistant of the president, Carolyn Moore, on September 26th and on October 3rd. The documents were unearthed by XRP enthusiast and investor Stephen Deep, and both meetings appear to have lasted for the better part of the day. Next article, two Ripple partners are expanding on opposite sides of the globe, the U.S. and Asia. TP Bank and a RippleNet client is about to start the first transaction office in Phuoc, while Currency Cloud partners and Radius Bank for better cross-border payments. And then in the contents, you have RippleNet is expanding in Vietnam, and Ripple's partner teams up with major bank in the U.S., Digital Bank, to be exact. And according to the Vietnamese media, the TP Bank, a major Vietnamese bank, is preparing to expand and launch its first transaction office in Phuoc, the island, in less than a week. TP Bank has been a RippleNet customer since November of last year, when it set up a remittance service between Vietnam and Japan together with SBI Ripple Asia. And then we have the next article, Ripple registers brand new trademark applications details. Ripple Impact and Ripple X are two new trademarks who have been registered by San Francisco blockchain-based company Ripple. And I want to thank at XRP Crypto Wolf for the content. The next article, Crypto Convert, why a 160-year-old banknote printer will soon be churning out digital drachmas for central banks. I thought there were some pretty interesting articles, or I should say information within this article. When printing paper money is your core business, hyperinflation is your best friend, and digital transactions are your worst enemy. How Germany's Geisec and Devrient have learned to thrive in a low-inflation electronic payments world. And if ever there was a business with dark clouds on the horizon, it should be printing paper currency, otherwise known as banknotes. In the U.S., the production of bills falls upon the U.S. Treasury Bureau of Engraving and Printing. But for much of the rest of the world, from Armenia and Peru to Thailand and Swaziland, money is actually printed by a handful of companies. Dominant among them, Munich, Germany's Geisec and Devrient. Last month, the 168-year-old printing company made its first investment in a blockchain, and leading 17 million USD Series A into Mateco, a Swiss startup providing custody services for Bitcoin and stablecoins, a new kind of cryptocurrency powered by blockchain but backed by fiat currencies like the US dollar. Perhaps even more important, it would be perfect complement to the new software it unveiled in 2019 called Philia, that enables central banks to use distributed ledger technology to issue digital versions of their own currency. Now tell me that's not exciting. They now have everything ready for the central banks to use DLT. Next article, XRP's daily active addresses on the rise despite rally hitting pause button. XRP continues to see a relatively high number of daily active addresses despite a 9.2% pullback. XRP is the third largest cryptocurrency by market capitalization and has seen an uptick in daily active addresses, DAA, in spite of its rally hitting the pause button. According to cryptocurrency analytics platform Sentiment, XRP is only one of the few altcoins that are currently displaying such a bullish divergence. In the next article, Payment System Board Update, August 2020 meeting from the Reserve Bank of Australia. We're going to breeze through some of the content in here. The Australian payment system operators and retail payment service providers have continued to cope well with the operational challenges posed by the issue at hand. Financial market infrastructures have also continued to perform well in recent months. The assessment of the ACX clearing and settlement facilities against the bank's financial stability standards, and the board approved the bank's 2020 assessment, which will be published after it has been provided to the Treasurer and the Australian Securities and Investments Commission. The review of retail payments regulation. While the review remains on hold, staff have continued to work in several areas. The board discussed preliminary proposals for improving price transparency in the merchant acquiring market. The bank is planning to set up consultation with stakeholders with a view to formally restarting the review in the next few months. And the recent changes in the use of acceptance of cash associated with the issue at hand and the potential implications of declining cash use for the provision of cash distribution services by banks and other market participants. There have been further rationalism of ATM fleets by some banks and other deployers during the past year, as well as moves by some participants to establish ATM utilities. Members noted the importance of the community continuing to have good access to cash withdrawal and deposit services, even as the overall use of cash for transactions declines. The issues around possible issuance of a retail central bank digital currency, the CBDC or EAUD, consistent with previous discussions, members considered that at present there is not a strong public policy case issuance in Australia. Given that the electronic payment system in Australia compares very favorably with those in any other country with access to cash, remains good. Nonetheless, the board will continue to closely watch the experience of other jurisdictions. The bank is continuing to research the technological and policy implications of a wholesale form of CBDC and is working to develop a proof of concept and external parties to explore aspects of wholesale CBDC, building on research the bank did in its innovation lab last year. And that's really where I want to stop on this, because now we've shown through, as the excitement continues with retail CBDCs, to me that connects more so to XLM, whether it is the asset or whether it is the bridge asset for the retail side. But now they're moving into the wholesale side, which works excellent with XRP, whether it is the asset or whether it is the bridge as by design. To me is irrelevant because it will still move all the money. And another issue that I find interesting with this article, I'm excited. It's a central bank discussion from Australia. And the reason of that is we know that we've followed for the past year with the Australian market and the government talking or having a discussion of removing cash beyond $10,000 purchases. They've been stating for the past year or so that they would only allow cash transactions $10,000 or less. And from beyond that, their discussion had been of digital assets. And now they're moving into that direction, even though they're stating it's not so much of an urgent move in this discussion. We know it actually is much further along than they're saying, because again, if it's not so close to going live, so to speak, or being a concern for them, then why the concern of eliminating purchases above $10,000 with a cash or a fiat. So moving beyond that, I want to discuss again, because we're always looking out for you and for options to make your life better. I always say when we launch or when we go to the moon, but when you see your funds come in, this channel is going to be a little bit different. As we often say, if you make excessive funds, great, buy that Lambo, buy that mansion. But we know on more of a realistic, the majority of those who are going to do well in these assets are going to make realistic money. You know what I mean? Maybe hundreds of thousands or low millions most likely would be the true realistic area of what the majority of people are going to do. And that is still enough to be life-changing financial income. So we wanted to share the tax advantages of liquidity, low cost, and the IRS compliant, because the iTrustCapital is the number one in its industry. And there you can self-trade cryptocurrency and physical gold in your IRA or 401k. We're only offering that to see if that's something that will help you. If it doesn't, it's not a big deal. But if it is, and you are looking for that, we're going to continue to share that information for you to see if that can help, whether it helps you now or when we launch to the moon and you have excess money and you want to protect it from the IRS, or you want it to grow in the sense of your investment for your IRA or your 401k for your retirement. But again, guys, this affiliate link will be in the description below of every video. As we come across more things, we're going to share them with you if we feel that it's beneficial. And again, if it helps you, great. If it doesn't, it's not a big deal. But again, we found some more stuff we're going to be sharing soon in a whole different level, and we'll see what you think of that as well. We're only here, and that's the reason we started this channel, to see if we can help many people change their lives once they receive their financial income. Again, here we promote no FOMO, be responsible. If you make millions of dollars, there's lots of things that can be life-changing. For example, discussing with an accountant, and I know we have a lot of accountants here and financial advisors, and I know we have some of them in the audience as well, as we've had discussions. And a lot of financial advisors, for example, a discussion that I had with a recent financial advisor. They said, even though there's discussion of extreme wealth, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, or the new 1%, et cetera, et cetera, but just thinking reality, suppose you get $2 million. I know currently Trump has mentioned dropping the capital gains tax at the current moment. That is the only taxation that I'm currently aware of the digital assets. And again, talk to a financial advisor. I'm only sharing a conversation. But when you come into your money, let's say, let's use $2 million after you've paid your taxes, capital gains. It's typically, if you've held it for 12 months, let's go with my generalization of this conversation. Obviously, there's always an asterisk. There's always an exception to every rule. But going back to the conversation, say after taxes, you've had your investment for over 12 months, and then you can get the best rate, your 15% of your capital gains taxation, specifically here for the United States of America. So now you have $2 million left over. Just as an example, keep this in mind. A lot of people are going to get it. They're going to buy expensive things, and they're going to be broke in less than 2 years. Here is an example of an option to change your life forever. If you get that $2 million, for example, talk to your financial advisor. A lot of them can safely, in your low to no risk range, get you 8 to 9%. And obviously, the range is probably higher in the 2 to 9%, 2 to 5. I think they considered a no risk, and I think the 6 to 9 was like a medium risk, but stated they had gotten much, much, much higher with losing nothing. So let's say 8%. On each million, you're talking $80,000. If you have a $2 million after taxes, free and clear, a lot of people, the first thing they're thinking is buy a house, buy a car. Now you're broke. And now you have taxes on that every year, and you have your registrations, you have your upkeep, your maintenance on both of those. And those can be very expensive, especially if now you have no other income and you have to get a job to pay for those. You're probably going to be selling them and back where you started. That's not very exciting to me. And I think you can do better, and I think you deserve better. So my thought is, as in this discussion, at 8%, most financial advisors can get that safely. I've heard discussions of the previous years, and I'm sure if you are a financial advisor, they were between 14 and 30, and they were pretty mind blown in the discussion, said they could not believe that happened, and they expect to never see that again. Now, going back to the 8%, 8% is about $80,000 on each million. Giving $2 million to the financial advisor, that's $160,000 interest on that every year. You have that $2 million, you're never touching the principal. Obviously, they're using that and they're paying you the interest, and you're receiving $160,000 every year. I think the normal person can live extremely comfortable with $160,000 a year, still knowing that they have $2 million in the bank. They're a millionaire for the rest of their life. And at that point, you can buy everything that you wanted and thought you deserved or thought you would like to have as your dream life. Like slowly, each year, add something to it until you have your dream. But you still have that $160,000 a year and your $2 million in the bank, or in your investment, so to speak. To me, that's life-changing. And that's why I find stuff like this very exciting personally. And I hope if there's something I can find, and there's a few more things we're going to discuss soon in new videos that I think are very advantageous to us, and I think there will be a handful of people who will be interested in. All right, guys, I'm going to leave you with a final thought. Our greatest weakness lies in giving up. And a personal story today. I was out on the boat with the kids. I have 4 kids and 2 boys who love surfing. They just learned about the past 2 months. And I may push a little hard, but that's how I, took a professional career in skateboarding. 12 hours a day, pushing myself to the limits, knowing it's a numbers game. So I tend to maybe push them a little bit harder than I realize as they're still kids, 9 and 12. But today we were surfing behind the boat, and they had getting a little frustrated because it's a little bit challenging because since they're just learning how to surf in the ocean. So I kept saying try one more time and giving them input, and they were a little frustrated, and you could see them wanting to give up. But you could also see it in their eyes that frustrated them more, realizing that they just wanted to quit. Point is, I said, let's try one more time. And each time that we did, both boys, they stood up and they were surfing amazingly behind the boat. And they were so excited. And for me, a proud moment. I spent so much time with you guys. It's like you're starting to feel more like a family. But the exciting part for me was to see them excited for one another. At the beginning, there was a little bit of a competitive edge towards one another. And then there was the support. To me, that was everything. So again, remember, our greatest weakness lies in giving up. Never give up. Keep giving it one more try. All right, much love to each and every one of you guys. And remember, this is not financial advice. It is for entertainment purposes only. And we will catch you in the next one.